Hello, friends. This is Christopher Davis-Shannon, and welcome to the new and greatly improved Tin Man's Magic Ukulele podcast. This is our first iteration of the new podcast, and I'm delighted that we're beaming all the way across the Atlantic to Scandinavia, where we've never been before, to Copenhagen to talk with the great Sammy T, or some of you know him, Four-String Boy. But before we get there, let's hear a tune. Sammy, thank you for joining me.
Hey man, thank you for having me.
It's so great to see you from afar.
It is, yes. I mean, your face is quite large in this room, which is beautiful.
That's true. You are
yes.
Right there. Those
exactly.
are very green headphones.
They are obnoxiously green, right?
I like that about that.
It's to let people know I'm edgy and cool.
You need to be the hippest uke player out there, which I think you might actually be onto something with that. I think amongst the uke community, you are the young cool guy in Europe, are you not?
I really, really don't want to say that because then, oh man, who's this white British dude saying he's cool?
Well, to be fair, you fled the UK. So we could put the British aside for
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
We'll just call you European for the moment.
Thank you.
So, Sammy, I ran across you, I think, as most people do when we're exploring the uke world on social media through your series Fingerstyle Thursday, which will forever be one of the hardest things that comes out of my mouth. But it's ingenious because I actually have to think about what I'm saying before it comes out. But you've been spending nearly the past year now writing original fingerstyle etudes for uke. And you just came out with your second book. I've gone through the first one already.
Yes.
And it's really, really lovely work in there. And I love the pieces because there's enough challenge in there, but I don't think they seem impossible to most players, even at like an advanced beginner, intermediate level. They're accessible and they give you this really high reward for putting in a bit of work. So what inspired this? What gave you the idea to just start kicking off fingerstyle first day?
Well, I mean, it's a couple of things. So I'm a full-time music teacher. That is like what I do. And I don't just teach ukulele. I teach piano, guitar, bass. And basically, I've never, ever taught from like a teaching book, just because I've found that I've had students who have come from teachers who teach from teaching books. And there's nothing wrong with teaching from teaching books, but my irks were always basically people teaching theory and scales, etc., with never showing the practicality of how you use it in real life. And
absolutely,
being a gigging musician, like that's what you spend your real life doing it all the time. And so it's like, oh, I can play this, D Dorian scale. And it's like, cool, but then how do you use it? And they're like,
what do you do with that?
I can play it at 160 BPM. And you're like, well, that's great, but why? And
I can even swing the eighth notes if I want.
Oh my God. 16th note running there. But yeah, so I've always basically written my own exercises, and it's mainly for like on piano and guitar. And it's sort of been that it's the theory I'm trying to push across, but I also wanted it to sound nice while you're practicing it, because we all know that sort of idea of, running up and down scales. And so I've always tried to pair that with something so it sounds genuinely like a nice piece. And
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, for ukulele, it was, I'm sure there are loads of people who have already done this kind of thing, but it was more of, I'd written quite a few for my own teaching. And then I was like, hang on. I wanted the idea of showing almost Instagram the way of my teaching, because I've tried Instagram teaching before and nothing really ever happened and stuff. And
it's a tough platform for education.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, because the attention span has to be
yes, so absolutely.
I always found that the way I got people's attention was, and it was advice from another musician, was to just do the showing off shit.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've always done. And that got me a lot of attention.
That's the meme culture, and that's what people want to see.
Yeah, man.
On Instagram, on TikTok, Reddit, all of those, that quick reward.
Yeah, that's exactly
for clicking the play button.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd always start like the piece with like me playing something, and then I thought that the idea of then showing the tab, the next thing, and then having these like little breakdown videos, I thought that'd be a good way. And it's in one post. And then I think at the time as well, Instagram was mainly pushing, I think this is what we were talking about with the social medias, or we'll talk about, is that Instagram was rewarding saves more than anything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I was just trying to get teaching content out there that I wanted people to save. And so I was like, well, if I include the tab in a tutorial.
I have to say the funny thing, Jamie, for the longest time, I'd see your posts and I'd never think to scroll to the next video over. So I'd watch the piece. I'm like, that's a great piece. And that was the end of my engagement. And maybe this is my attention span is the issue. But I frequently forget, like, oh, there might be more to this post here. Be like, nice piece.
Yeah, no. Well, that's cool. That means a lot to me, because it's sort of done the job, right? It sounds nice and it sounds pretty on itself. And that's the thing that I wanted it to do. It would be that it would sound nice for people, but I'd also have the excuse of talking about a little bit of theory alongside. And also that, like I said, people could actually, like you said, it was achievable goals. People can actually learn this shit without the flashy shit that I'm doing, where people are like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, something.
A thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing something really fast.
But now I'm doing it in a musical context. And that's such a big thing. Back to your point about method books, because I also do not teach from method books, because I find every student has their own challenges. They need their own path.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I find this more in the uke world than anywhere else. Like yourself, I'm a multi-instrumentalist. Yeah. I'm a double bassist, so any double bassist listening will know I studied out of the Simandl book. We all did. Bassists have been studying out of it since mid 1800s. That's the book, right? And it's great. Method books can be really wonderful for teaching technique, which is one side of things. But when you get to the musical aspect, a lot of times they fall short, or they're not engaging enough for the student. And I think that's sort of the gap that you're filling here, is that musical engagement for the student, as you said, putting it to practice, which is so important. Yeah. People come to me and want to learn cool ways to strum. I'm like, I can show you all the cool ways to strum, and you're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
You need rhythmic application to do this. So let's put it in a song. Let's dissect this song and see how this works in context, as you were saying with scales as well. You know, same thing. So many of us go out and buy one of those nice books that is every scale that you'll ever need to know on ukulele. And you know, do you remember the Guitar Gridmore books? Did you have them in Europe?
Yes.
Did you own that as a teenager? Because
Yeah.
I feel like we're probably about the same age, so we're definitely on that.
Yeah.
If anyone's not familiar with the Guitar Gridmore books, they were written targeted towards metal guitarists, really in like the 90s, early 2000s. But it was every scale and every mode that you would ever know, shred all over the fingerboard, but nothing about how to ever use it in context. Here's a scale. Here's 500 scales.
And also, like, listed, it was like, oh, here's A major. Oh, here's A minor. Here's B major. Here's B minor. And it would infuriate me. There's, like, nothing about relative majors and minors here. You're playing the same shit from different perspectives. That used to wind me up because the person was like, well, I can play A major and then I can play A minor. It's like, can you... Yeah. Nothing, like you said, teaching about the relationship between things. And so...
But do you understand the difference between A major and A minor and how they're actively based off of the same... concept.
Yes.
How do we get from one to the other?
Yes, exactly. It's like, well, this one's got a 3 in it, but my C hasn't got a 3 in it. I don't understand. Def.
Yeah.
And it's...
Yeah, this is a lot of how I teach. I think you probably know I'm obsessed with harmony. Is like I just love harmony. But I always try to actively discourage people from learning chords, from learning where to put your finger. You need to know the notes in there, which if you know your scales, you know the notes and you know how to meld them into what you need. Yeah. And a lot of times, I'll say especially in the uke world, we get into the fingers on fingerboard thing. Here's the mechanical side of what we do, but we leave the musical side elsewhere. And
massively.
That's tough for students that want to go to the next level. I think it's great for beginners. You need to know how to do that. You need to know to put your fingers on the right fret and make a proper finger shape and hold your uke well. But then when you want to go to the next thing, you go, well, how can this be a C chord? Because this is a C chord.
Yeah. I mean, so one of the very first things that I teach like theory beginners to on the uke is that, for example, we all know that that's a C chord, but mainly the thing that I try and get them around is that C chord is just obviously C, E, and G. And I realize I'm mansplaining chords to you right now, but, bear with me. And obviously that's a G, C, and E.
I'm with you.
Oh, good. Thanks. So that is a C chord on its own. So it's that idea that string is just an addition. So then it's showing people that you can add a C to it, but you can also add an E to it, or you can add a G to it.
Amen.
And they're all still, and like that's so easy to do and sort of find and see, but they're all still C chords. And it's just adding, you're right, adding that idea that chords don't live in boxes, they live in as collections of notes.
Right. And when you start to think of it like that, you can do things with those collections of notes. Yes. Which is really how a lot of the fingerstyle first etudes are just really playing with open strings versus let's add a ninth to our C major chord. Simple little melodies on the A string. And I think when you present it like that, you go, oh well, this is a thing that I know plus this other thing, and it sounds really nice.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, lots of there's a workshop I taught last year that I called the fundamental theory. But I called it fun and mental theory.
Oh, I see what you did.
Yeah, it was so clever. Yeah. And basically one of the biggest things around that was like chord inversions and like the cage system and things like that. And it was simply teaching people like in the key of G and then teaching people a G major scale of one string. And then basically saying, whatever note you've got on the A string, get rid of it and apply any other of the notes, and then you have a magic chord that you might not know the name of, but you know it'll work.
Yeah, and it's going to sound good.
Yeah. It's getting that sort of idea across. I think it's the being adventurous. People are really scared of being wrong, and it's like as a musician, you're going to be wrong a lot. And that's cool.
You have to be.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an integral part of being a musician is to screw up as much as possible, because that's where you find the magic is when but sometimes you screw up, you go, that sounded cool.
Yeah,
I have no idea what just happened.
Yes.
But it sounded cool, and I
like to
it.
think that's how so many uke players discover a A flat major 7. They go, I'm going to play G. Oh, no.
Move it on up.
Ooh, what was that? That was nice. Oh, no, I'll move it to the right fret. So
Yeah. And you bring it up one more, and you get an A dominant 7. You can think about the relationship between A flat major 7th and an A dominant 7. Yes. And I go, oh my gosh, they're closely related chords.
Yes, that's it. Should we go to a B flat 6 next, or are we going to stop there?
A B flat 6, then we can move it up to our C major inversion, second inversion.
Beautiful. Oh dear, we're cool.
But and there's something to be said for. And again, that's another technique that I've seen that you used in fingerstyle Thursday is you moving typical chord positions that we play down low to force you to think about like, oh, this shape that I think of as G majors we're talking about, just by moving one thing, and thus moving 3 of the notes but keeping this drone underneath gives us an entirely new chord. I mean, A flat major 7 is not a G major chord. At all. It does not elicit the same feeling from a listener or a player.
No, not at all.
And that's an important thing, is taking those things that we already know and are familiar with and seeing how we can take them up to the next level and do something else with them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I totally agree. Exactly.
So it's really important stuff. I love the work that you're doing, but can we hear another tune, please?
Go on then.
Sammy, how did you come to have decaf coffee in your house?
You mean that I didn't accidentally steal it?
How does one accidentally steal something that no one wants?
I know. Yeah, I know. And it was basic. It was shopping. It was all the things were coming down, and I think it must have been from the other person shopping in front. I put it in the bag, come home with decaf coffee. I definitely didn't pay for it.
Well, I once stole a watermelon by a similar method. I had put it under my cart, my trolley, in the store. And by the time I was done shopping, I forgot that it was there. The person at the register didn't notice either. So I go to my car and I'm loading everything up. I go, oh no, a watermelon. So being the upstanding citizen that I am, I take this watermelon back in to the grocery store. And I go to the woman. I go, I forgot to pay for this watermelon. And she stares at me as if I have 3 heads and goes, honey, I don't care. So I even admitted to stealing the watermelon, and she just told me to take it. So
I mean, you know what? Usually, on any normal situation, I'd do the same. But Brexit, I'm already on my last ice, mate. So I'm going to get sent back any moment. So
they're trying to. Are they trying to kick you out? For being British over there? Let's have you subject now.
No, you know what? It's almost like I feel like I have a British privilege card over here, because I'm sure it goes with the white male privilege card as well. But no, the Danes are incredibly lovely, and often I get apologized to because they address me in Danish, and I'll reply, and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry," and then talk in English. I'm like, "No, no, you don't have to say sorry. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
how
Danish.
wild is to apologize for using the native language of the country that
Yeah,
you...
exactly. How dare I? How dare I? Oh my God.
That is so polite.
No, I know. And I fear in England it wouldn't be the same way. So, but
Oh no, absolutely no. I mean, not quite. I mean, in America we have our own. We don't speak English here, as you know.
No, of course
we
not.
speak American.
Yes, American English.
And you must speak American, not English. Very distinctly different language.
But it's quite funny because the Danes, a lot of my Danes who are like teenagers and everything, grow up learning American English.
Sure. Yeah.
So me being the utter British prick I am, when
they learn American. Nice.
Yeah, they learn
English.
American English.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
They don't want to learn the Queen's English.
No, no one wants to learn the Queen's English.
I love the Queen's English. It cracks me up. I shouldn't be saying this. I'm gonna.
No, it's good, but no, it's because I think a lot of them learn their English from movies and TV growing up.
Yeah,
so
and we do dominate popular culture.
Yes, exactly. So what they hear is that. So when they are like, "Oh, I spilled something on my pants," I'm like, "Well, where the fuck's your trousers, mate? What is going on?" This
is a distinction that I only found out about 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
When I was in London and referred to my pants, and in public. And the stare at me was, I had no idea. But I knew what trousers were, but I did not know that they were not interchangeable in British English. These are the things I need to learn. There are certain things that I say that just don't fly in the UK, unfortunately.
That's okay.
They give me away for being. I mean, not that I'm practically the most American person in the world.
No, I was going to say you don't carry around a fanny pack, so you're fine.
No, don't get me started on fanny pack. Not to deviate from this conversation because this is important.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to talk to you a little about social media
Cool.
because you and I think address social media in very different ways, and I think most performers and educators out there, one of the things when we try to teach on the internet, and you had alluded to this a little bit earlier, was the struggle of teaching, especially on Instagram, which I find to be a very hard educational platform.
Yes.
How do you make things engaging enough for an audience that goes from 13 years old to 70 years old, depending on your demographics? And how do you catch people early? Because you're talking about meme culture. You need to get them right away and excite them off the bat, and that's a really tough thing to do, and I think it's something that you're very good at. I think so. Actually, I ran across you not first on Instagram, I don't think, but on Reddit, I think is where I first saw you. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't know that there's a wonderful uke community on Reddit. Reddit gets a bad rap for being Reddit,
of course,
but most of the people there are not sitting on other social media platforms as well. Yeah. Except maybe YouTube, but not highly interactive on YouTube. It's this Reddit collective of uke players, and there's 20,000 people on there. I mean, it's not small whatsoever. But what flies there doesn't necessarily fly elsewhere. But you were, I think you've been able pretty well to capture the Reddit crowd, which is very interesting to me because that's always been a really, really tough one. And I'm curious, do you find that the material that you make, do you make it for a social media platform, or are you making different educational materials for different platforms?
I see what you mean. Anything usually that I post on Instagram will probably go on Reddit, and I treat them very much the same thing. So, for example, on a Fingerstyle Thursday, I would never post the entire... So on Instagram for Fingerstyle Thursday, I'll do it as a carousel post. The first post will be me playing, second tab, third is breakdown videos and tutorial. And I moved that also over to YouTube because basically, not everybody's on Instagram, and it's nice that it's all there and you can pause and rewind properly and stuff.
Yeah, I find YouTube as a teacher, I find to be such a substantially better platform.
Oh my God, yes.
But you can get really high engagement with things on Instagram that are much harder to get on YouTube. Just towing that line.
No, you're right. So I have way, 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 way more engagement and everything on Instagram. But yes, I still upload the same content to YouTube. And even when I've tried to upload longer content and everything. Like, it's always, whenever I record a cover for Instagram, it's always me basically like, oh, fuck it. I've had 20 minutes of practice and then we're just going to record whatever the hell we record. And I know it's a topic that people talk about, but I always limit myself to 5 takes. If I can't get it in 5, I'm not going to get it. And that's it. And then I walk away because I haven't got time to waste.
Then you need more practice before
Bingo,
you
that's exactly it.
That's the reality.
Yeah, I'm just denying myself that. So I give myself 5 takes. And basically on YouTube, I'll film it on my nice camera. I've started using like the microphone now and stuff, and that takes much more effort to set up. It takes longer to edit. It takes longer everything.
Absolutely.
And then I get nothing compared to what I do on Instagram. So it's almost, you get to the point, you're like, do people really care about the fancy stuff, or is it just the playing? And that's why Fingerstyle First Day was like so easy for me, because I've always wanted to do teaching content for something, but it was always the burden of, I just don't simply have the time. You know what I mean? I'm teaching all day. I just physically can't fit it all in. Whereas Fingerstyle Thursday, I mean, do you know why it's called Fingerstyle Thursday?
Because it's on Thursday.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm assuming it's something to do with it
coming
out on Thursdays and their fingerstyle pieces, and you like furry things. Are you a furry?
I've never removed the hat, so there should be some good ears behind that, so you don't know that. But yeah, it's basically, I wanted to do Fingerstyle Fridays, and my teaching schedule was completely packed on Fridays. And then I had an opening on a Thursday morning. I was like, all right, Thursday. And because British people will occasionally say Thursday like that. So it
all comes in. So it always comes full circle to British English.
Always, exactly that. So if you said Thursday to a British person, they know, Thursday. I know exactly what you're talking about. So that's it. So it was basically me. I used to give I had an hour on a Thursday morning to come up with something, tab it out, record it, and teach it.
Oh, so you do the entire process on Thursday?
Yes.
You sit down, write, record, release.
Everything, yeah.
In an hour.
Come up with it, tab it, record it, teach it in an hour.
That's incredible.
It was hard work, but I enjoyed the challenge. It was nice that, because I love teaching more than like the world. I went and got a degree, like I got a music degree, I got a teaching degree. I used to be a music lecturer, blah, 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 blah. But I really, really, really love teaching. And so I do a lot of it, and it just means that I don't have time to do much else. And so, like I said, I wanted to try and get it out to it. So actually coming up with like compositional work and trapping myself to an hour or 2 was like really hard, but really good, because it sort of made me examine how I am as a ukulele player, because I've got no idea. You know what I mean? I was self-taught. So I just watched a handful of people and be like, I like that, don't like that, like that, don't like that. And then I've discovered lots of shit along the way. And so it was just an hour of, I'll try and talk about scales today. Okay, I'll try and talk about pull-offs today. I'll try and talk about diatonic chords today. Something like that, and then just strum a first chord and then see what comes up from there.
That just floors me even more that you're doing this all in an hour of your life and just being done with it. I know when I write, it's so hard to let go and be like, that was good enough. We're done with that now. We're gonna get it out there. And that's a tough thing.
I can't be too attached to it. It's basically I have to do it. And now, like I said, for volume 2, I found that I've had more time, so the pieces have become more sort of, I don't know, complex, I guess. I don't know. But, and that was because I had more time then to devote to it on a Thursday. So I found that. Or I'd find that at the end of a teaching day, I was inspired to sit down and come up with something. So as I've had more time, the things have got more complex. But that's been both good and bad, I think. So.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to keep it accessible for people so that they can keep continuing on. They can't get too hard, or else you're going to leave everyone in the dust as an educator, and you'll just be off playing by yourself on a desert island.
Yeah, exactly. And I've released some stuff, and I was like, no, that's fine. And then people have been like, nope, can't do that. That's what is wrong with you? And it's like, oh. And it's always been the stuff where it's been independent picking on these 2 kids.
Oh, sure.
Bass player.
Yeah. Same here. Like none of two finger stuff, no problem at all. You want me to add in the ring finger? No, thank you. No, thank you. You want me to do 16th note tremolo? No, it's not a thing I do. You want triplet? We're good.
Yeah, man. So yeah. So it's I think it's good now. It's because now I've completed volume 2, going forward to volume 3, I'm gonna simplify it a little bit, which is going to be good and bad again, because I want to make it the most accessible it can be, and I'm finding that more and more people find it, which is excellent. But people do say like, oh, you know, a couple of pieces are too hard, and whilst that is good for you as a musician, I want to make it achievable still. So it's a really good learning curve for me. That's why I enjoy it the most.
Yeah, and I think teaching in general, at least I find, I learn so much more through teaching than I do through anything else.
You said that once, and I've never loved you more. Honest to God, it was like I could not agree more with that statement. That's it. I've become a much better musician for teaching.
Yeah, and to me, one of the biggest things is my students. You know, I have my brain that works in a certain way, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's. I don't think about music as most of the general public does. And when I'm teaching other people, I have to think about everything from a different perspective, not the way that I internalize things. And to solve these musical problems that, you know, for some things have been like just an integral part of my life for so long. And to present it to someone with no knowledge of it that doesn't understand it the same way that I do really forces me to more deeply understand music. And it's I can thank my students for the player that I am today. It's their fault. You hear that, my students? You've created this monster. It's all your fault, and I love you. I love them for it. You know, it's one of the reasons I love teaching so much. Is it forces you to think outside the box in music and not get stuck in the method book that we grew up learning from.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
It's great. Sammy, would you mind playing us one final piece before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I guess so, as I'm here.
Sammy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join me today. And for everyone listening, I'm going to link down to his Instagram and Reddit and YouTube and Patreon and website and all of these fantabulous things that he has. I just said fantabulous. Is that a word? I don't know. But again,
British English.
Yeah, exactly. It's another British word. Thank you so much, Sammy. Would you mind playing us a little bit of exit music to get us out of here?
Sure, man. Thank you so much for having me.